This video shows how I made a close area as specified by Sue. To be clear, it's not intended to be a detailed description of how to make one yourself, just a historical record of what happened. So let's look at the requirement. This is a sketch Sue produced. Good enough, it shows all the major dimensions. Not much on the detail, so I asked her to produce another one, which you can see there. It shows the ins and outs of the square bits and the roundy bits. Good enough. Moving on to design. Well, first of all, I did something on the back of a fag packet, you can see here. It was okay for the moment, but then I transferred to a spreadsheet, Excel, and did some detailed calculations on length, wood needed and so on. And transferring that into PowerPoint to scale, showed the side here and across pieces and the end bits from the side. Troublesome bit being the round one at the top. So, preparation. Well, first of all is what wood I would use, and the answer was pine. It's cheap, it's generally strong, and I'd got it, so it made it easy. That's a piece of stud work that I used for the legs. Stud work is straight, strong, and has no knots, and there's the 4 bits I cut from it. That's going to be the legs shortly. And here's in the background a bit of 4x2, and in the foreground the bits for the top and bottom legs. At the back there you can see the round bits for the cross pieces, their broom handles, and more of that later, from Screwfix by the way, the screws. Okay, making the legs. Well, I practiced first and made a real hash of it. You can see it's a bit woolly there, splintery and charred towards the right hand side, and that's because I didn't cut it properly. So tried again. I made a full-size template, so as I knew and marked on it exactly what I wanted. You can see a bit more detail there. It shows the beads and the coves of what and where they should be on the legs. And from that template I marked out the leg positions for the square bits. They were the first bit to do. Here you see 2 square bits cut called pummels on the lathe, and the rest of the leg is now round. Just what I wanted for the next bit. And here's success. All 4 done, no major chipping, and I was very pleased with myself. So next I did where the beads should be, again from my template, for all 4 legs at the same time. And as you can see here, I've cut the beads and they're all looking pretty good as well. And finally, it was where the shaping would be between the beads. Here's one of them, and that one's then presented against what the other ones are like. So I've done 1 down, 3 to go, and magically here's all 4 done. Just needs trimming to size. What a mess everywhere. Darn shavings, sawdust gets everywhere. Surprising how much from little legs. Here's the legs, 2 holes per leg. So making the top. That's the half round, half annulus bit that sits at the very top of the legs. The problem really is that if you try and make a semicircular bit and try and drill it, all it does is it goes down on the side you're drilling it, and you can't make an accurate hole. So instead I got a square bit, drilled 2 holes in it, then another piece on another, flipped the top one over and glued them together, and that gives me a square piece of wood with 2 holes buried inside, which I then cut so that it's roughly round. When it's roughly round you can do clever things on the lathe, a bit of shaping here and there, and then having done that you cut it in half like this, and there's Bob's your uncle. So here I'm starting drilling the holes in the square piece of wood. This is the 2 square pieces drilled, cut, glued together and clamped in place. I've marked there the very centre of it and where the outside and inside diameters would be, and this bit shows the exact centre and holes in the inner bit, because I'm going to throw that away, of where it's going to be attached to the lathe. If it is attached to the lathe and just about undergoing for me to make it an exact circle and cut away the clever bits. And there we are, one side done. I have avoided this very centre as I'd hoped. Taken off the lathe and drilled holes top and bottom so that when I cut it in half those will be exactly where I want. Cut the centre with a hole saw to shape and then sanded it. And this is just to show how careful I thought I'd been, but actually how dangerous it was running very close to the holes. I'd cut a cove when it should have been a bead. So the feet now, easiest bit to make, the feet, just a shaped piece of wood which I cut on the bandsaw and then sanded, and then I marked the bits underneath, so instead of 2 straight bits of wood I'd have 4 feet when I actually made it. The cross pieces then, as I mentioned before, they were broom handles. I took the first one and cut it accidentally too short, so I went out and bought another 5 broom handles. I've not 4 broom handles if anybody wants any broom handles. Here I am at the end making sure that the diameter on a 18mm spanner is what I want to match an 18mm hole, and then the cross pieces are fully assembled. Sorry, fully cut. Assembly. Quite straightforward really. It's glue, no screws. The bits there are ready to be done. I dry fit them before, so I knew exactly what they should be. And here's the 2 end pieces already glued and clamped and taken off the clamps. The hardest bit was fixing 5 cross pieces into the 2 ends there. Somebody's photobombed, don't know who it was. Here it's clamped and going to sit overnight, clamped to this straight and so on. So how did it turn out? Well, this is the original that I was trying to copy. And here is the one I did. I think it's the best.